in recent years and over a long period of time is I guess, under threat. I have been talking about literacy as a policy issue since I got elected in the last general election, and working with my colleagues in the House Assembly to try to draw some attention to it. You know, it's been well since, before this government was elected, there was a strategic literacy plan for the province that was shunted aside after they were elected. We've seen the issue sort of diminish in stature to some extent over time. There was a plan in 2007 for a strategic adult literacy plan that was shelved. This year in the provincial budget, we did hear some talk of going back to that, having a strategic plan again, but I really think we've got to put our heads together and think about what it is we want to do, because you know, literacy is such a broad issue. It's not as simple as teaching young children to read and where to get reading resources. I recently visited a facility for men who are so-called hard-to-house men in our community here in St. John's, and these are people who are recently incarcerated and all sorts of difficulties in our lives. And one of the problems that they were having is that they didn't have an identification card to, you know, go and rent a place. Right. But in order to get an ID, you've got to fill out an application, and to do that, you most likely have to have some reasonable literacy if you don't have somebody to assist you. And a lot of these people are very much on their own, and there's all sorts of examples like this. I mean, how can you possibly take a medication properly if you can't read the directions?
Yeah, it's fundamental to not only personal achievement but to our economy, therefore, and it's really backward thinking. I mean, it seems almost as if they are determined to do whatever it takes to balance that budget, to cut that deficit, and if it means setting back the economy and the population of the country for decades to do it, you know, being counterproductive in doing that, then they're still willing to do it.
Cuts in other areas, too, are really leading to more of a need for an investment in literacy at all levels. I mean, just think about the cuts at Veterans Affairs in recent times. They're now telling all of these veterans that they have to go online to fill out forms and read information in order to get the services that they're entitled to. I mean, more and more literacy is a broader thing. We're talking about digital literacy, being able to not just read what's on the computer screen, to be able to turn it on and to find the tool, whether it's Internet Explorer or some other web browser like Firefox or something like that. You've got to know these things, right? There has to be a resource in the community where you can access that. We've seen cuts in access to Internet at the community level, at libraries and so on under the Harper government. And if the provincial government doesn't cast a net, have a broad-based plan for literacy, we're not going to move things ahead. This is a giant puzzle with many, many pieces. Trying to, put one piece at a time is not going to complete the puzzle. I mean, a puzzle is made of many, many pieces, not two or three. And too much, I think we're looking at things at a piecemeal. From a piecemeal approach, we need a far broader approach, and that begins with a plan and being able to maintain community organizations like Literacy Newfoundland and Labrador.
Dale Kirby, it's a fair point, well made.